Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear, coming to you live from Florida on Are You Frustrated with Your Health? Female hormones and fantastic results. I got into natural health care. I actually didn't really think about it because I didn't get into natural health care. It was just kind of part of my life, right? I had the pediatrician who would make me sit on that crunchy paper and strip down into my underwear, and they'd put cold stethoscope on me, or the nurse would come and prick my finger, which I hated. And I just had a not, my pediatrician actually was a very kind man, but I had my two doctors, and one was a pediatrician and one was a chiropractor. And I really didn't know the difference between the two as a kid. And so some of you guys would wonder, why would a baby, my parents started taking me to a chiropractor when I was a baby. And the reason being is when I was born, my mom had a heart-shaped uterus. And when I was born, my feet were internally rotated, right? So I was the kid where they didn't think I'd walk properly. They had me wear leg braces, and my mom tells stories of where like the leg braces, I'd have to wear the leg braces even sleeping, and I would hit them up against the crib, and they'd make all these noise. It would make all this horrible noise. And then the doc had me put my shoes on the wrong feet to help try to turn my feet from being this way to out. And so a friend of the family said, before you get into any kind of surgery with her, why don't you look into chiropractic? And my parents really didn't even know what chiropractic was, but they did. And I saw a chiropractor by the name of Dr. Vicky, who placed these triangular wedges underneath my hips. And the technique is called sacral-occipital technique. Very, very gentle, very amazing technique to balance out the body, to balance out the base of the spine called the sacrum, to balance out the top of the spine, or the base of the skull called the occiput. And all I remember as a kid is seeing Dr. Vicky and seeing my other doctor, and Dr. Vicky was cool, and she would put these triangles underneath my hips, and it was fun. Wedges. Yeah, Jonathan, wedges. And I honestly didn't even know that chiropractors had different chiropractic techniques. My second chiropractor, Dr. Frank, awesome guy, did the technique called applied kinesiology, which is muscle testing. So as a young kid, I think at that time I was, 14, 15 years old, I was getting muscle tested, and he was muscle testing to see what nutrition would balance out my body. He was muscle testing to apply chiropractic to me, and it was really, really cool. And then my next chiropractor did more of the what's called diversified. Some people call it Palmer package, where they, make adjustments on the neck or put you on one side or the other side, and so on. And so I grew up in chiropractic, and it was just something that we did to tune up my nervous system. Chiropractic handles subluxations, which are misalignments in the spine that negatively affect what goes through that. So if this is your vertebrae, your spinal cord goes through there, right? Your vertebrae is protecting your spinal cord and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. And those spinal nerves control all of the organs in your body. They control your heart and your lung and your digestive system and your reproductive system and your muscles and everything. So when a chiropractor works on you and they give you an amazing chiropractic adjustment, it's retuning, it's resetting your entire nervous system. And that's how I grew up. I grew up with chiropractic, and I grew up with a pediatrician. Didn't see the pediatrician very often. I think at a certain point we did very little of that. My mom was a registered nurse at a huge local hospital in Miami, and my dad was a hospital administrator. And I would hear my mom, my dinner conversations consisted of my mother telling me not patient names, but patient cases and what happened to them medically. And some of them were really disgusting at dinner, by the way, to the point where I know some of you guys that we've worked with parasites will get into some interesting conversations where if you're in the holistic world, and I was just talking about this in the Quantum Nutrition Academy with my students, whether you're in natural health care, if you're in quantum nutrition testing, we talk about gross things that happen with parasites in people's poop. And it's just kind of a common conversation, and sometimes it happens at dinner. Whereas in the not quantum world, in the not holistic nutrition world, in the other world, so like I say, Jason and I, it was funny in Sohila, we were at this business conference